and good evening, everybody. Whenever, wherever you may be watching, this is The Yard Sign, the most important relevant podcast in politics, the most diverse conservative podcast in politics also, as I like to say. Your host is always Johnny Torres, better late than never. Hope you're all doing great. Hope your Monday's doing all right, as we are now in early voting, and, campaigns are in a mass panic right now as they try to shore up votes and make sure that they get people's ballots in and get people out to the polls. And, of course, because Republicans do everything in their power to try to prevent people from voting. We have like a month of early voting. Primary election day is actually going to be next week, the 23rd. Again, it's going to be a fun night as we watch the results come in on that. Well, is it on the Monday? Yeah. Well, anyways, we'll get to that in a minute. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you'd like to, we'd love for you to subscribe to the audio version of our podcast, which so many people are doing. Our numbers are just looking phenomenal over in the audio version of the podcast. You can do it on your favorite podcast platform. You can pick one of the ones hosted by one of the tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave us a rating, even if it's a 3-star. All right, but the ratings, the reviews are vital, to help us continue to promote the show. And so we appreciate you in advance for doing so. Before we talk to or introduce tonight's guests, let's go ahead and get into tonight's topics. We're going to just discuss a little bit of what we know so far about the Trump FBI raid that happened in Mar-a-Lago, which on a podcast, from a podcast standpoint, we actually broke the news coming in, I think maybe only an hour after it legitimately broke, thanks to our own Peter Schorsch here in Tampa Bay, who broke the story nationally. And so we'll talk about what we know, and of course, really what everybody cares about is the fallout from all of this. That kind of leads us right into our second topic, which is DeSantis 2024, which, if you're kind of watching what the governor's doing, not saying, you would think that maybe he might be mounting a campaign for the White House in 24. But we'll talk about that in just a bit. And then local straw polls, incredibly relevant tonight, especially for one of our guests. But we'll talk about what's happening here locally and how that is shaken out across the Tampa Bay area. Any surprises? And, of course, a small percentage of the overall electorate that's kind of put in so far, and it goes to these straw polls, but certainly kind of gives you maybe an idea of kind of which way the wind is blowing. All right, so as you can see there to my left, you are tonight's guests. We got some familiar faces, but we're missing our usual one, David Cabrera, not able to join us tonight. But joining us on the far right is Mr. Not So Far Right, not as far as anyways. Scott Levinson, candidate for county commissioner here in Hillsborough County, District 1. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's always fun to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be weird without Aníbal.
Without the big guy.
Yeah.
Maybe
he'll let you talk a little bit more.
Joe Biden.
The big guy. Well, that's true. Maybe,
it's a different big guy.
Look, we've maybe, intellect, a little,
Yeah, maybe he'll let you talk a little more, Get a little more airtime.
Should I interrupt as much or just do my, okay.
Yeah, sure.
I got it covered.
You got to embody the chair,
And when people...
You got big shoes to fill.
And when people
sure, why not?
I'll fill
Pick out some of those favorite comments there, keep us in the loop on what's happening in the chat room.
There we go.
All right. And it's fun to kind of have you back every, kind of couple months or so, because we see the progression of this facial hair you're trying to grow. I mean, you remind me of like when I tried to grow my beard, like probably about 10 years ago.
Well, I am like 10
where
years
I'm like willing it,
so.
You're kind of willing it into fruition because it's not quite all there.
Right.
At least you got the mustache, which that was the part. That was the hardest part for me.
Last time I tried, it didn't work because the mustache wasn't coming in. But we're here.
See, you got the hard part. At least
we're
for me,
here.
that was the hard part. Was the mustache.
Right. We're here now.
Yeah.
And,
I'll trade. I got to shave morning and night. I'll trade with you guys.
Man, I'll tell you what. That was when I worked at Disney. which was kind of my first. Not my first real job. I had a couple jobs before that, but
Nothing's real at Disney.
But I'll tell you what is real is that policy, their hair and makeup policy. I mean, man, I was 20 at the time. Again, I was never this decent at growing facial hair, and I just that morning forgot to shave. I'd shaved the day before, so it was literally barely stubble. And they sent me home to shave, and they say, "Go home, shave, and come back." And that was like my second or third day there, so I learned that lesson real quick.
That was my experience in the military too.
I bet, yeah.
So this is nice. This
is the first. No, but you said this isn't your first time trying to grow it out.
Yeah, I tried. Was 4 years ago for like a month, and I quit. But this has been all summer. Wow. So
you ever had the beard there, Scott?
I did. I had the beard for a while, and then
back in the 70s.
Not yet. You know what? Not far from it.
Yeah.
Not far. I graduated high school in '83. So
okay.
I did the beard.
Well, see, the 80s beards were like the thing. I mean, you had like Kenny Loggins, Kenny Rogers.
They weren't.
All the Kennys were sporting
Duck
beards.
Dynasty beards. We had the tight.
Yeah.
I mean, they were full, but they were tight.
Like the yacht rock beards.
Yeah,
I mean,
the stubble, the Don Johnson.
Right.
And
I feel like a lot of that.
Michael McDonald.
Brett Michaels,
Brett Michaels.
But I ended up, and then, after the 80s and 90s, and I'd say late 90s to early 2000s, you had the goatees.
Oh, right.
So I did do
the late stage yuppie kind of look.
I did. I sported the goatee for about 4 or 5 years.
All right.
If I ever do that again, just shoot me.
And that's about as much facial hair talk as we'll ever hear on this show ever again.
Well, Anibal can't grow an idea,
right.
so I mean,
I can't talk about it with him because he can't relate.
No,
I don't think he could grow any, even if he tried.
I thought he had sprouted a hair the other day, but it was his dog's. So, but go ahead.
Hair of the dog. Okay.
All right, this show is going south in a hurry.
So, again, thanks to Scott Levinson and Mr. Chris Licata for joining me tonight, as there is plenty to talk about. As we mentioned last week, just as we were coming on the air, the news was breaking about the FBI having been at Mar-a-Lago all day, in fact. They had been there since early that morning. Right around the time we came on the air was not far from the time they had actually left the compound. Of course, as some of you may be following, they are saying that he had all kinds of classified documents, some top secret documents. People are speculating that he had nuclear documents. Again, I think for those of us that are in our political circles, there's going to be that group of people that, let's say, hypothetically, even if all this turns out to be true, and he turned out to have some things he shouldn't have had, that they will still support him no matter what.
Of course.
Now, the question has to be if he had those things, right? Why?
Well, I think the bigger question is what former president doesn't. Like, that's the bar I want to know. Because, it's one thing, okay, if by the letter of the law, he shouldn't have had, XYZ documents and,
unless they were declassified.
Well, no, even if they're declassified, there's certain documents, even if declassified, that you still just can't, you can't physically remove, you can't, all of that stuff. But again, I guarantee you, the Obama administration, President
That's it. You don't get to talk anymore.
Yeah, the bell's going off over here. But
sorry about that. But everybody's probably wondering.
At least he didn't shove him down his pants.
Got this dumb alarm clock here that just randomly goes off whenever it wants to.
He didn't shove him down his pants.
No, but my point being is that you have this question of, there was information very similar that was quote unquote classified or confidential that shouldn't have been removed, that was removed by the Obama administration, by President Obama, in order to be displayed in his library or something. And he got permission to do that.
Right. So they're saying the National Archives also came out, put out a statement and said, hey, we've cleared kind of any documents that they might have, that sort of thing.
Right.
Really, honestly, where Democrats have no place to be throwing stones here is Hillary Clinton. Right. I mean, that's just the obvious, and the fact that I think what she did was far more egregious, which was they literally destroyed government property in terms of tablets, phones, and then, of course, wiped the servers where she had her personal email, where, again, a lot of these documents supposedly had been stored or they had been kind of moved around.
So I think there's a couple different ways to look at what's going on right now, because there's the legal argument of like, well, did Trump do something wrong, and are they trying to prevent him from running for president ever again? Which I fully think that's what they're trying to do.
That's absolutely the goal.
Absolutely what they're doing. But then you also have this broader, political argument, I think, that is, okay, it's archives. There's no there. And what Hillary did was actionable intelligence that, she let loose out into the world when it mattered.
There was intent.
Well, she was Secretary of State.
Yeah, but I'm saying there was foreign service officers in the field.
Yeah,
their locations.
Oh, right.
Identities. All of this stuff. So I think the American people are smart enough to understand that there's a difference in the type of information when you're talking about archives for the museum.
Right.
That, that can't be released yet and it shouldn't be in your physical possession. And actual actionable intelligence that is harmful to the United States. And it's like, look, the communication codes between Navy ships change every 24 hours. I guarantee you the nuclear codes change more frequently than that.
Oh, so I would hope so.
If he had like a memento, like, this was my code to use the.
You mean it's not 1, 2, 3, 4?
Right. Yeah, but like if it was, and he had like his memento, like this is my nuclear code, and he wanted to like frame it or something. Right. That's not a risk to national security the way they're trying to make it sound.
Sure. Well, but again, the intent here is to make him look ineligible, to make him look careless, to make him possibly look criminal.
I don't think they care one iota of making him look any which way. I think this is a strict liability argument, a strict liability crime, and they're going to attempt to prosecute him on that.
Okay, but then as Anibal would say, one of the things that has distinguished us from many other countries is that we've never sent a president,
they don't care,
former president, to jail.
Right, they don't care.
You're right, but do you think if all that comes to be, if everything plays out the way they want it to, which I don't think it will, does Trump see the inside of a jail cell?
Well, I think that they pursue this course of action, and they actually, you can indict a ham sandwich, right? So if they proceed with an indictment and then proceed with criminal charges.
See, I think they basically will say, well, we could put him in jail, but we're not. But he is going to be ineligible to run for president, and that's good enough for us.
I don't know where that'll be challenged, because the idea that, well, we're not going to prosecute him, but we're just going to indict him, but we're not going to prosecute him because he did something really, really bad, and therefore we're just going to declare that he's ineligible. They will lose that in the courts.
Well, there is, and I don't know the exact clause or the verbiage, but there is something saying that it would make him ineligible.
But that law has never been challenged.
Sure.
And other laws tied to that have been challenged, like state-imposed term limits on congressmen. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't put other requirements on holding office. So even if Congress put a requirement on holding office, that doesn't. The only requirements to hold the presidency are the requirements in the Constitution.
What were you going to say, Scott?
Well, you need two things also. And the very most important thing here is you brought up Hillary. She intentionally put a server off-site with knowledge.
Right.
What they have, there's two major factors, and forget the second one right now, because that's the crime itself. But did Donald Trump pack those boxes knowingly, willingly, with the intent to commit a crime? If there's no intent, especially no knowledge, then you can't.
Well, and from that standpoint, I think the answer is
one.
In some ways is obvious. Like Donald J. Trump is not packing boxes in the White House.
But that's one. Two, there's no dispute that the FBI was there in June.
Right.
There is no
they've
dispute.
had full awareness where this information
There's
was.
no
that it was
dispute.
secured
They
in a
saw
safe.
it. They asked to secure it some more, but they knew it was there. That was in June. He left 2 years ago.
Right.
Are we really going to believe that he had active nuclear codes of any type and they just decided to let him hang?
Yeah, just wait it out.
Wait it out. It's been 3 months. It's been 2 years. Like you said, maybe he had, the little things, you break the glass, like you see in the all the Wonder movies.
Yeah.
If they really believed he had active nuclear codes, they would wait 2 years. Come on.
Well, and that's the other
That's
thing.
the thing. The codes change. The radio
That's my
codes
point.
change.
No, yeah,
So
but
there's no that's
don't care
a
about
red
that.
herring right there.
But
that is zero. They are looking for the minor. I agree. They are looking for the minor. I don't care if it said it was against the law to stub your toe. They're going to find a reason to go after him about that.
Yeah.
And look, I have learned from watching the news once or twice. I am not going to make the mistake that our other side adversaries make. I am not going to blindly jump here right now and say this is all for nothing. I do want to see the facts.
sure.
Do I believe this is all for one reason? Of course I do, but I'm not going to bet my house on it. I would like to see the facts, but the problem for the other side is I think the facts are more damaging to them.
They just want enough to be able to build the case to try to disqualify him from running.
Right, and this, I think they're playing
Because
they're
legally
playing
or not.
the calendar. They're playing with the calendar here because I think what they want to know is, okay, depending on when, again, they knew this in June. They knew these documents existed. He invited them in. They saw them. He said, "Hey, they're here. This is where I'm keeping this."
Not
stuff
only that, I would
for my
imagine
presidential library.
that in terms of the transition between
Yeah.
administrations, there's got to be someone that's checking off on all this.
Right, there is, and I mean,
Well, you
would hope so.
I mean, this is
The archives
this
are
is
like
Washington we're talking about.
Right.
I'm sure there's someone from the National Archives whose job it is to kind of, okay, that's going over there and that's going there, and stuff gets lost in the shuffle, I'm sure. But it's still, hey, we misplaced this box, Mr. President. Do you have it? Yeah, I have it. It's in my safe. That's not a crime. That no one would consider that a crime. I think the fact that they knew in June and now they're coming back 2 months later is because they're trying to set a timetable in place.
It's a distraction. Too.
No, they're setting a timetable in place to, okay, now we can move forward with an indictment. You can indict a ham sandwich. Then after the indictment stage, they move this along on their timetable.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that they can essentially prevent him from running for office without having enough time to appeal the nature of that argument, right?
Right.
Because
whatever charges they
Guys,
decide
something like
Right.
this skips the appellate courts. This is
Oh, yeah, no,
this
it will.
is
It will.
not
It
this
will,
will be done quickly.
But again, and I think the way Democrats look at this, if you're talking to a political operative on their side,
But that's the thing. They don't even need to get it that far. All they need to do is to be able to get it to, around the time when the 24 elections kick off and bring into doubt that, hey, do you want this person to be your president?
No, I don't think that's the angle. They actually want to prevent his name from appearing on the ballot.
You think legally they think they have
want to prevent
enough.
his name.
Okay.
I don't think they have enough. I'm saying that's what they want to try to do, and I think, again, if you're a Democrat political operative, you're sitting here going, "Oh, this is beautiful," because if the Supreme Court intervenes and says no, the only requirements to be president are what are set out in the Constitution. Trump has not been convicted of an impeachment, therefore he can run for president, and his name has to appear on the ballot. Then they'll just run against the Supreme Court, and they'll cry crow. They'll be, "Oh, this is a Trump Supreme Court. The country is lost," and so they have an angle to what they feel win they have an angle where they come out, looking like
because I think and honestly, the more or the worse Biden's approval ratings get, the more desperate they become to build that case. Correct. Because they're going to realize that's going to be the only win that they can win in November. Well, or so they think.
I was listening to Daily Wire, and they said something really interesting in the fact that this is it wasn't Daily Wire, it was Ted Cruz. I don't know how I got those two things confused, but Ted Cruz said this might as well be an in-kind contribution from the Justice Department. This is the biggest gift to the potential Trump candidacy for the presidency. Because now everyone's talking about Trump again. It's free media. It's really building his national profile. I think there's a certain constituency of Democrats who want to see Trump as the Republican nominee again, because they believe that Biden or Kamala can beat that.
Right.
And they want to see Trump destroy DeSantis so that DeSantis never, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think DeSantis and Trump necessarly go head to head.
No, I don't think DeSantis jumps in unless he knows with certainty that Trump's not running.
Right. But I think Democrats build their own fantasies in their head of Republicans destroying each other and
well, apparently the mayor of Miami thinks he can beat Donald Trump. Oh. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not hear this.
Yeah.
I try not to pay attention to, the...
Well, guy's barely a Republican. And I don't use the rhino term, because it's obnoxious. But I mean, if you look at his record,
right.
And really, when it comes to Miami politics, the only reason he is where he is because it's a family name that's been politically active down there for a long time, and he basically pretty much inherited the seat.
Must be nice.
It was, he came from his father was a former mayor, that sort of thing. And because
sounds like the employees in Hillsborough County government.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so he's hot in all the innovation and crypto stuff and all that, and so I'm sure that's
working out.
That's all gone to that's all gone to his head, and so apparently he's testing the waters about maybe running in 24 for president.
We're going to see a lot of people test the waters. There's going to be a lot of what do they call those? Testing water committees or whatever, advisory committees.
Yeah.
You're not actually running. You're just thinking about running.
Exploratory committees.
Exploratory committes. That's the word.
Yeah. Scott had one before he ran for.
And
no,
I did. I did. I asked my neighbor on the left of me.
That's right.
Asked my neighbor on the right of me.
Explored a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right.
But no, there's going to be a lot of Republicans exploring, and I don't think that's necessarily they want to explore actually running for president. I think they just want to build some name ID. They want their 15 minutes, and then they want possibly like a Pete Buttigieg moment where they say something smart and then they get a cabinet position.
Right. Yeah.
It's like their consolation prize is, to be in charge of HUD.
I'm still debating whether he said something smart or not.
Well, smart for his base.
Okay.
All right.
Well, he just checked off a couple boxes that were good enough to
right, but had he not run for president, he wouldn't be Secretary of Transportation.
No way.
He is. It's like...
he was barely qualified to be governor of his own state.
Well, he wasn't governor.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He was a mayor of a small town. So, a mayor of a big city like Miami might say, well, okay, I want to build some national profile.
Well, and he's young. So, he has nothing to lose, really.
Right. You build a national profile, you get out there, you don't step on please clap. And,
yeah. Well, given Miami, I'm scared to think of what might be in his background, but,
wow.
It's just Miami politics, man. It's serious business down there.
It is cutthroat down there.
Yeah. It might as well be Latin American politics because that's exactly how they play down there.
Okay. That's not what I meant by cutthroat.
Well, literally and figuratively.
That's not what I meant.
Literally and figuratively.
You went there, not me.
The expressions of the host on the show are not those necessarily.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that any day. So, kind of hot take. Does anything come of this? Does does this truly go anywhere? Because this is the harmful aspect. I think the most harmful aspect about all this is that if this quote unquote raid, which, people are saying, oh, well, it wasn't a raid. If this search warrant goes nowhere and really brings up nothing, it adds to the list of things that they threw at Trump that failed, right? With the Steele dossier, the Russian collusion, what was some of the
attacking
other stuff?
the Secret Service driver.
Well, yeah, the January 6th stuff, which again, the polling on that, Democrats are wanting that to be a thing. And again, the polling all shows that nobody cares. Nobody on the average voter doesn't care about January 6th.
Well, and I make a joke about the CIA guys, but when she brought up the hearsay, because she wasn't there, of what happened, why didn't they just subpoena the 2 CIA agents and ask them to come and say, do you confirm or didn't? Huh?
You mean the Secret Service?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, not only that, it pulled the mic up a little bit, and not only that, but the failed kidnapping concoction
of Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, which was basically an FBI plan. The whole thing was planned by the FBI. In fact, there were more FBI and FBI informants involved in the plot than there were anybody that they arrested. And I think all of them either got off or got light sentences.
No, they all got because they were all found innocent
because it was practically entrapment.
Yeah, a federal jury was like, this is totally entrapment.
Now, one of the podcasts I listen to, Crystal and Sager, Sager says all the time, he talks about, how these 3-letter agencies basically, to justify bigger budgets, to justify bigger staffing and all that kind of stuff, they concocted a lot of these things, especially when it came after 9/11. Well, they were looking for people that fit these profiles that they can then point a finger and said, oh, this guy was trying to go over there to work with Al-Qaeda. And this guy was over there, they were trying to,
I don't know if that's a post 9/11 phenomenon or a federal phenomenon. I think any government agency, from the city to the county to the state, needs to justify their budget and therefore makes up fake work.
Yeah, we saw it with the Japanese, right? We saw it after the Japanese in World War II. And how many people were...
Why do you point at me like I was there? Right? Like I was there?
You lived it, Scott. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. But really, it's sad because, growing up, you have such a reverent vision of, the FBI and the CIA and you hold them in such high regards. And then to see, and then you start to dig into their history and realize that maybe this has just been the way they've been doing things all along. And you look at, things, budgets. And you look at not only justified budgets, but all the crooked stuff they did. It's known fact that the FBI actually sent an anonymous letter, all right, that they then found out was coming from the FBI to Martin Luther King, telling him basically to kill himself. You talk about all the corruption happening under Edgar Hoover, and so really you kind of have to wonder at this point: have they ever actually been what we kind of hoped they would be, or what they aspire, what we thought they aspired to be?
I think the answer to that is always been no.
It was sort of nice when the biggest scandal was they took the W's off of all the keyboards in the White House.
Right.
But that was big news back then.
Sure.
Like it was and you look back at that and some of the stuff there, to me, that's more of a crime than
right.
Some of this, it's just they will create and they will find a way and get it to the doorstep of not allowing him to run if that's what he chooses to do.
Well, and they're really going to push. Again, I think there's a Democrat political operative, who's wargaming this out and says, look, if it goes to the courts, we win in the eyes of the public. If we can prevent Trump from running, great. If we can't prevent Trump from running and it doesn't go to the courts and Trump runs, great, we can beat him. I think that's how they think. I'm not saying that's my position. I'm saying that's how
I don't know how they think they could beat him with Biden or Harris.
I think they just feel like they can slander him enough. They did it in 2020, and I didn't think they could beat him in 2020. So, it's I think.
Well, that's not why they beat him. I mean, I think he and again we've talked about it so many times. He in some ways beat himself, and then also they changed a lot of the rules to put themselves in a position to win.
Right. And they will do that again.
Call it stealing the election or not, whatever you want to say about it, but they did. They changed the rules to favor themselves in the election.
Absolutely.
And they executed it beautifully.
And I think they know they can pull that trick a second time if Trump is the nominee. And they are also counting on him shooting himself in the foot because,
well, but again, and that's kind of my overall, kind of as a way to bring this topic to a close. That's my overall kind of question in all of this, goes back to when he said, I could go outside, and shoot somebody on Madison Avenue and nobody, or Fifth Avenue, nobody would blink an eye. Right. Does this help or hurt him?
I think you will see a Trump.
Or does it just cancel itself out?
If he runs.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a very different Trump. And he's going to be different at his rallies or things like that. What is the one thing, if we all sat here right now at this table and picked our number one thing that we either wish Trump wouldn't have done or got him in more trouble than anything was?
Twitter account.
I think I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see a very different Trump this time. I don't think you're going to see the immature name calling and stuff like that. I don't think you're going to see
I think we'll absolutely see that.
I don't.
But you're just not going to get it in spades because he doesn't have the Twitter account anymore.
Well, he could still do it if he wanted to.
I also think that I'm out on a limb here, but without the Twitter account, I don't think he beats Ted Cruz in 2016.
In 2016, that might have.
I'm not saying
without Twitter, he would have not been the nominee.
I agree with that. I'm not saying he doesn't use social media. What I'm going to say is, even his most ardent supporters, the one thing that a lot of them will tell you is, if he would have just toned down.
I know I know you love Ted Cruz, but he wasn't going to be the guy. Not on his best day.
No, I wasn't saying that Ted Cruz would have won.
I think he would have beat him regardless. I mean,
I'm saying without Twitter and without the media, scared out of their mind in 2016 that Trump would not have become the nominee.
Yeah, the media helped. The media is what really helped Trump get elected.
It's they created him and then they complained about him.
Right.
But I will say
because he was good for the ratings.
And that's why they want him back. He was good for
the business. Oh, yeah.
Everything's cyclical.
That's why they're obsessed with him.
Everything's cyclical, so we'll go back to the beard. Ted Cruz, he needs shape.
Ted Cruz is not running for president.
He looks so weird with a beard.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. He looks like Wolfman Jack that just didn't quite make it.
Yeah, well, he's elected for 6 years, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, and the fact that, and one thing is to be in a competitive situation, have your opponent call you a name, and you just kind of take it, right? Suck it up and take it.
Okay.
But for Trump to have insulted his wife, and him basically just give him a pass, I think that pretty much secured any chance of Ted Cruz ever being president.
But I got to ask you a question. If someone insults your wife, okay, by giving it any...
You mean walking up onto the stage and slapping him?
Well, yeah. I mean, beyond the Will Smith, but why am I going to give anybody credibility that insults my wife?
It wasn't about letting it wasn't about lending it credibility. It was about the fact that the way he didn't even try to address it. Yeah. The fact that he could have flipped it on him and made him look immature.
How do we know he didn't pick up the phone and call him? How do we know he didn't?
Well, no, but the whole point was politically.
Politically, it has to play out publicly, and you could flip it. You could flip it and just he could have.
It worked well for Will Smith.
I mean, Ted's an intellectual. I mean, Ted could have easily really just, destroyed him intellectually and basically made him look like an immature child.
See, I think the simple of simple is, really, sir, you are going to stoop to that level to talk about I don't know if I go much farther than just calling out the fact that.
But the thing is, he did it to all of them.
But that's my point.
And none of them, and how many of them actually, pushed back and
I mean, we don't need to rehash 2016, but I think at the time the media just loved the gore.
Oh yeah,
it was a gore fest. It was just like it was not Al Gore.
But this is one of the things that I've talked about off air with Anibal, which is think about
working on the internet.
Think about the political careers that Trump destroyed in that campaign.
Yeah, 16 of them.
Not just individual political careers,
dynasties.
Yeah, dynasties. The Bushes,
but again, and the media was there,
Clintons,
for it the whole way through.
Yeah. I'm sure they loved it.
They loved it.
Yeah.
They reveled in it, and then they got 4 years of complaining against it.
Well, but because that's their job. That's what they wanted to do. They were going to complain about it. They were never going to give him any kind of credit. But he was also the best thing ever, and I think over a decade for them in terms of ratings.
Right. So, but what I was getting at by saying that he wouldn't have been the nominee in 2016 without Twitter is that the fact that he's still not on Twitter now, and that Truth Social is not that. It's not Twitter.
Yeah, it's never going to be.
It's never going to be.
Well,
so
you can only get it on iPhones.
Yeah. Well, that's the correct.
Well, that, and then the people who are actually going to make the effort to adopt it, and it's just not.
It's just his core supporters, right?
Yeah.
But outside,
Twitter was a huge part. In fact, there was a documentary that I watched where he said that Twitter, in fact, was a big reason why he even decided to run in the first place.
He saw that he had an avenue.
Yeah, he saw he had an audience, a captive audience that would support him.
I think in a 24 race, I think there's going to be now. I agree with what you said earlier, and this probably takes us into our next subject, next topic on DeSantis. But I don't think DeSantis runs if Trump's running.
No,
but I do think there's going to be a lot of Republicans that do run, and something might come out of that.
You got to think about it. You got to think about it this way, because look at what's happening right now across the country. And Ebel and I have been doing updates, as far as the candidates that have been endorsed by Trump and that sort of thing. Like his winning percentage is 95%. In terms of who he's endorsed. I genuinely feel sorry for anyone that decides to run against him for president.
Agreed.
Because you are putting your entire political career on the line. At that point, again, like a Linda Cheney, it's if Linda Cheney decides to run against Trump for president, which the way it's looking, she may barely even
get after this term.
She may not even get reelected.
Correct.
If she decides to run for president, which she might, because she's a Cheney, and again, they think their name still matters. There is a very high likelihood that he's gonna wipe the floor with her.
Yeah,
and that'll be another political dynasty that is going to be flushed down the toilet.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And again, I'm not I'm not against that. I think Trump would make.
I just think that
Trump's
whoever
second term would be amazing.
Let's say this guy, because I don't think it plays out for Republicans the way it did for the Democrats. I don't think Mayor Suarez, from Miami, if he runs against Trump, I don't think he walks away with a cabinet position. You know what I mean?
It never works that way for Republicans. It always works that way for Democrats.
Exactly. I think that literally this guy could be ending his political career by running against Trump, especially in Florida.
Unless, and this takes us into our next topic, unless Trump doesn't run.
All right. Well, on that note, let me go ahead and reset the room here. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most important relevant podcast in politics. Joining me is Chris Licata, Scott Levinson, candidate for Hillsborough County Commission, District 1. Please be sure to support our good friend Scott here by going to votelevinson.com, right? Votelevinson.com.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about some very exciting news for our friend Scott here in just a little bit when we get into local straw polls. But I also want to thank our good friends at Community Patriots for being a huge supporter of the program. They are a constitutionally based organization, nonpartisan, okay, but again, constitutionally based. They have already put out their list of endorsements for this midterm election, and it's getting positive reviews from voters out there. Again, it's one more kind of litmus test for these candidates, as again, we are now in early voting. So visit community-patriots.com, community-patriots.com to see their list of endorsements, and also ways for you to get involved. They have a chapter in Pinellas County. They have a chapter in Hillsborough County if you're here in Tampa Bay. If you are tired of partisan politics and are looking for an alternative, maybe the Republican Party in your area isn't to your liking, well, this may be a great alternative to get involved with candidates and get involved in the political process at the grassroots level. They're out there walking for candidates, writing checks to candidates, and they want to again support constitutionally founded, constitutionally sound candidates throughout the country. And all you have to do is check them out at community-patriots.com.
I'm biased. Been a member since day one.
They've endorsed Scott Levinson. So again, kudos to you on that endorsement. Again, every little bit helps. And you can only hope that some of these things move the needle in the right direction. But let's go ahead and get back to the star of the show, or the star of the Florida show anyways, which is Governor DeSantis. Some people, because of what's happened recently with the suspension of District Attorney Warren and some of the other things that he's kind of been spearheading, people are thinking that his ego might be kind of getting in the way. Of course, they're all trying to make him look vulnerable for his reelection campaign. There's Democrats seem to think that Charlie Crist is going to be, well, really he's their only shot, but also the long shot, to defeat Governor DeSantis. Even if you raise the money, which he won't, to defeat Governor DeSantis, I don't think he'll come close.
I was just having this conversation the other day, and I said, everyone always called Rick Scott, landslide Rick, and because he didn't have a recount.
Yeah,
he didn't have a recount
right
in Florida, and that was a landslide.
As much as you thought the general public didn't like him,
right?
I mean, he was incredibly popular.
He didn't have a recount. He was not in recount territory. For Florida, for a Republican, Rick Scott was incredibly popular. DeSantis had a recount in 2018.
Oh yeah. Well, he was virtually unknown.
Yeah. I think we get to November and DeSantis is going to walk away with it by 2.5 points. Right?
Wow.
Now, the messaging on that is going to be weird because they're going to say, "Oh, well, it's 52-48."
See, I don't think Charlie's that strong. I think Democrats realize that they're just weak, and
I think Charlie will get 40,
and their strongest hand is a former Republican,
right? And that's why he'll get 48. Right, but so 52-48.
See, I don't think so. I disagree.
Well, I mean,
okay, but that's fine.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that a Republican governor winning Florida by 52% will be the largest landslide in state history.
Huh? Did not know that.
So it's like
when a Republican wins.
When a Republican wins,
right.
So it'll be the largest landslide for a Republican governor ever.
Which still, and people forget. I mean, because now we've kind of been deep into the woods for some time, but we haven't had Republican leadership in Florida for that long.
No, from 2000 to now, and before that, it was Reconstruction,
right,
which was federally imposed. Federally imposed Republicans. So, this is a very interesting time in the state that we're living through, and I think, we wake up the day after Election Day in November, and it's going to be 52-48. And that's going to be a huge landslide for Republicans. And that's what every Republican's going to be saying. Oh, this is wonderful. This was a huge landslide. And everyone else is going to be saying, it was still close.
Yeah.
And both of those things are true.
Yeah, Democrats, that's the thing. People are making hay about Val Demings being really close, I think within 5 points of Marco Rubio for the Senate campaign. And
she'll lose bigger than Charlie.
Well, that's the thing. It's Florida.
Right.
It's Florida. It's going to be close. When you get to the statewide races, it's going to be close. Unless once you get down the ballot, you start to see you see the waters begin to part. Yeah. As you get further down the ballot. But again, the Senate races and the governor's race is going to be what some people will call close. Now that being said, again, I think there's very little that Charlie can do to actually win. Correct. Short of a full-blown, completely unacceptable controversy, that's completely unexpected. I don't see how Charlie comes close to beating Governor DeSantis.
Agreed. It's DeSantis is going to walk away with it, but I just like to bring up that fact that what we call walking away with it, the biggest Republican governor win in state history, will still be 2 points.
Now, okay, so I got a two-parter question for you guys. And Scott's feeling unable. She's very well ignoring me while I'm driving.
No, I'm hearing you.
I'm joking. Question one, do you consider DeSantis a Trump Republican?
No.
Okay, so you're just straight up R for you.
Huh?
Straight up Republican. You don't see him as a Trump Republican.
No, I see him as a true conservative.
Okay. Scott.
I see him as a true conservative. Mm-hmm. I see him using some of Trump's showmanship.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Okay. Because I think DeSantis...
But that's delivery.
DeSantis is rewriting the book on gubernatorial leadership on the Republican side in a post-Trump Republican Party.
Yes.
And I mean post is in the fact that he's obviously, held
not
leadership and ran the party and, right. Because you're right. He's picked up enough, I don't even want to repeat what Carrie Lake said in Arizona or wherever it was over the weekend. But
I didn't hear it. So.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Because it's barely suitable for,
our audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's picked up enough of Trump, that kind of give Republicans that kind of that okay, I think we can win this thing, that somebody's kind of standing up and fighting against Democrats and
that showmanship,
that energy.
Well, and that showmanship, I don't think we call it Trumpism or it's the Trump. It's coming from Trump right now.
Yeah.
But where Trump figured that out was Teddy Roosevelt. That was Teddy Roosevelt for his day.
I think you're giving Trump a little too much credit.
Well, I was going to say Dale Carnegie, but
no.
But that's always been Trump, though.
Yeah,
but that's always been Trump. That's naturally who he is.
What I was saying in that is that this element of the Republican Party has always been there. This element of showmanship of being the man in the arena.
Yeah, but I think after I don't know. I mean,
and I'm talking about early.
I would say maybe
Teddy, not later Teddy.
Maybe pre-Reagan or maybe starting with Reagan. We kind of entered this era of the intellectual Republican.
Yeah.
Where, and again, you can read studies have been done on this about why Trump won, and as a party, we used to talk intellectually just over the voter. We used to kind of talk at this, this 30,000 foot level.
And I think the different, where Trump is a showman. I mean, yeah, he loves it.
Yeah,
he loves it.
But it's the layman kind of
Reagan, though. I still think he made you. I know he was my idol. I know he is the first. I mean, I was there for Carter, Ford,
Right.
Nixon, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so maybe Reagan being the exception. Maybe it was Ford. But
I think
what I'm saying
Reagan
is this intellectual
was the one that learned how to take the subject matter and make it to where the guys sitting at the local barber shop could understand it just as well.
Well, but see, I was making the opposite point. I'm trying to find the starting point where it became, again, where we were like the party of intellectuals where, again, policy-wise, we were talking over people. We kind of forgot how to talk to the average voter. Right. Yeah. It's like if you look at Bush, if you look at Romney, if you look at, again,
W never had that criticism of him.
He had this, he personality wise.
Right.
No, don't get me wrong. Personality wise, he was kind of like the aw shucks, I'm a Texan from Connecticut. But when you talk about, again, policy wise,
and the fact
when you
that
get into Cheney,
he knew
if you talk
the inner
about
workings of the federal government, actually,
we are leaving Dan Quayle out.
Yeah, that's another intellectual.
But what I'm saying is we lost that, right? We lost that ability to talk to somewhere along the way. Mm-hmm. We had lost that ability to talk to the average voter. He embodies that. He always has embodied that. And DeSantis, I think, has picked up on that.
Right. Trump's acceptance speech at the 2016 convention is, "I am your voice." That is not a message that has happened in the Republican Party of let me be your voice. Let me go take the fight to them on your behalf.
The Bain speech.
Yeah.
Seems like a candidate. I know that's tagline is the voices of the streets.
So it's,
I like that, right?
Yeah.
It is a good thing that is back in the party. I just don't think.
Because people tend to forget DeSantis is an intellectual.
Right.
He is literally an Ivy League intellectual.
Dual Ivy League.
Right.
2 Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
So
and Daddy HW didn't get him in.
Yeah. No. DeSantis is just, boy from Dunedin.
Right.
So he's much more real, much more just everyday person. It's not that he grew up a billionaire.
Because that was my thing. I loved Adam Putnam because I felt he was far more relatable. I felt he was much more grounded in what Florida was and stood for, and not only was in historically but could be, right? Like I felt like he really embodied the future of Florida. Again, unfortunately,
good old boy Florida, sure.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like
when you have counties named after you, it's
right. when you've been here, a couple hundred years,
right? And that's what I'm saying is that DeSantis isn't that guy.
Well,
DeSantis
that's
is just a boy from Dunedin who happened to get in some Ivy League schools, then became a naval lawyer, then embedded with the SEAL teams, and then walked into a congressional
What was beautifully done by the DeSantis campaign was that they were able to pin Putnam as the establishment, even though Putnam and DeSantis's political track record was almost identical.
Right. You had to purely, that's politics.
Yeah, just
you had to
political messaging.
People knew the Putnam name; they didn't know DeSantis.
Correct.
So it was easier to tag him
as the establishment, right? But again,
I think Putnam also had a lot more friends in Tallahassee, and the number of friends you have in Tallahassee and how well you know how Tallahassee works. Tallahassee has in the last 20 years become its own beltway.
But DeSantis in 2018 is not the DeSantis of today.
No.
And that's what I mean. That's the Trump-ism.
No. Well, I say he was more because he was endorsed by Trump in 2018. Yeah,
but he was not. He didn't have the gravitas, or as Carrie Lake put it, the BDE. All right, and make of that as you will. But that's quote. That is the quote. That is her quote, not mine.
Okay.
All right, but he didn't have that uber confidence, that uber kind of
he was concerned when he said when he said after the primaries.
He's a terrible public speaker. He's gotten a lot better.
A lot better, and he had the slip up. I forget what exactly he said. It's something about monkeys. But
yeah.
And
But he's gotten much more relatable.
And he looked like after that happened, and then he did like his next presser. He looked like I stepped in it, like he was concerned, and he's gotten a lot more confidence. And I think where that's coming from though is that he's retreated into what he knows, which is the law. He knows the law inside, outside, and backwards. He's an amazing jurist.
But he's also had a lot of wins.
Well, and that's
where he can push, where he's been able to push hard and it not backfire.
Well, because he knows. So, like, removing Scott Israel, right? He read the Florida Constitution. He read the statutes. He read the case law. He went back. He did his homework, and he knows the law so well that he felt confident. This is what I'm getting at. Is that he felt confident enough to say, "Oh, I have this authority, so I'm going to use it." And I know I'm not going to get slapped.
But the legal win is not always the win in public opinion.
It has been for him.
No, but again, he's been very lucky.
No, because I'm saying.
That helps.
It's because,
but just because you win on the legal side of things doesn't mean you win in the court of public opinion.
He has used
like the parental rights bill.
He has used the law in a way that allows him to get the public opinion win because he knows he's going to win legally. So he portrays that confidence. He portrays the parental rights bill. He portrays he just comes out with it so confident about it and says, "This is the right thing to do. This is what we're doing." All right, and I know I have the authority to do it. I'm not gonna get slapped by the courts. And the public follows that because it's true leadership.
And the public does like the confidence. The public feeds off of that.
If he had gone out on a limb and the courts smacked him down or something, the people would be like, "Oh, we don't know who's in charge." Right. And that confidence would have been completely destroyed.
Well, again, going back to Trump, part of the reason why Trump, I think, really accomplished a lot more than people ever talk about, or he even gave himself credit for, was because a lot of the things that he put into place actually succeeded, and actually came to fruition.
You're saying people who didn't vote for him in 2016 who voted for him in 2020?
Yeah.
Because there was a large contingent of them.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people who
especially minorities.
Right. Who came over to Trump.
Because he delivered.
Right. And then there was a lot of people who left who didn't like what he was delivering. Or no, it's not even that. It's that they didn't like how he was speaking about what he was delivering.
Right.
It's not that they didn't like the policy.
Well, because again, when everything's great, when everything's going fine and everything's good, then that's when you start to look at the little things, things that don't matter.
Right. Yeah.
And so all of a sudden,
are you talking about his hands?
All of a sudden,
wow.
You're gonna get me in trouble. It's okay. I'm good enough at doing that by myself. But when the economy was soaring and unemployment was at historic lows, what else do you have to complain about? Right?
Yeah.
So that's when the tweets became a bigger deal, and what he said about so-and-so and what he did, that's when all that stuff ended up becoming a bigger deal because that's all there was to talk about. Right. And again, the media was so obsessed with him, that's all they had to go on.
Well, and it was just wall-to-wall Trump all the time,
of course.
Every day. And
and he didn't help himself by the midnight 3 a.m. tweets and, all that jazz.
Go to bed, man. Go to bed. And I think that's, again, what DeSantis has done extremely, extremely well.
Yeah.
Is that he's been extremely disciplined of, no one's crafting his speech for him or, he's not being given talking points. He's not Biden, but he's not
not being in drugs either.
Well, he's not tweeting at 3 a.m.
Right.
He's not. He gets up at a podium. There's cameras there, and he says what he wants to say articulately. He knows he has the law behind him.
It's funny because it's so obvious. It's literally night and day. It's like a child on Ritalin when Trump has a written speech in front of him, and he actually sticks to it. It's like a whole different person.
Right. His speech in Poland is, I still think, the best speech, and no one's heard it.
Right.
His speech in Poland. 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
The best speech of his entire presidency. The second best speech would have probably been his State of the Union. This is probably more relatable to our listeners, is the State of the Union 2020 as they were impeaching him, and right before COVID like grabbed the news.
Yep.
So everyone forgot about it, and that was by far his best speech. And again, like you said, you give him a good speech, and he can deliver it. He is a showman all day long. What you get with DeSantis is you get someone who actually knows the law.
Yeah, right.
Inside, outside, backwards.
And that's the thing.
Brilliant jurist.
I think policy-wise,
yes.
I think DeSantis could be even more impactful than Trump was.
Right.
So we all, I think, agree that he's not going to run if Trump runs. Right? That's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
He's not running. So. He's not running second chair.
Well, no. You're not going to get No. They're both in the same state. So
well, yeah, now they are. Right. Yeah.
They're both Floridians, so that can't happen either. What would be very interesting, and what I think happened here in Tampa last week, 2 weeks ago, with the removal of the state attorney.
State attorney, yeah. I meant state attorney earlier when I said district attorney.
Well, they're state.
Yeah,
they're district. For anyone else around the country,
6 and 1 had half a dozen.
We call our DAs state A's.
Yeah. He got rid of a bad guy.
Yeah, but I think what he's laying out in doing that is regardless who becomes president. If it's Trump, if it's DeSantis, if it's anyone else, whichever Republican, what he's building from a good attorney, he's building a case of this is how you deconstruct and tear down this administrative state. This is how someone's not doing their job. I don't care that they're elected. If you have the authority to remove them, and as Republicans, we tend to, it's leveraging the power you have, right?
Which is something that a lot of governors, much like when Trump was in office, a lot of presidents don't do.
Well, Republicans have historically don't do. We don't leverage the power of the presidency.
Well, and the perfect example is the courts. Mm-hmm. Obama, and again, Democrats are now, obviously, in retrospect, supremely ticked off because Obama was the one who left a bunch of these court seats open. Didn't appoint judges all over the country. Right. And Trump said, guess what we're going to do? We're going to fill all these seats.
I know you guys are a little young for this, but I'm sure you've heard about it. A lot of elected Republican officials, I refer to them as Durans. And what I mean by that is they just won't fight. Like Roberto Duran just quit on Sugar Ray.
Right.
They just won't fight back.
They're afraid.
They're
afraid of the pushback.
I'm running for office. Look, I will never go personal. I will never go dirty.
Yeah.
But I'm going to fight for my beliefs, my values, and the people that I represent. That is what you're there for.
Right.
You do not sit back and take it. You fight for what you believe in. I don't believe in fighting someone because you don't like them. Fight for what you believe in.
Fight on policy.
Right. Yeah. Fight on your beliefs, on your values. Don't fight because you don't agree with theirs. Promote yours.
Right.
Yeah, we can't.
So let's get into the hypothetical. Let's say for whatever reason, Trump not on the ballot in 24.
Then it's DeSantis.
You think he goes for it?
Oh, absolutely.
I still don't.
You still don't think he goes for it?
I don't think he does.
You don't want him to, or you don't think he will?
No. I would love him to.
Well, I'm saying,
I think the powers.
I have heard people say, I want DeSantis to wait to 28.
Why?
I've heard.
I agree
that's
with
not
that.
my position.
Okay, but why?
I agree with that.
Then please enlighten us all.
I think he's riding a wave right now. And like you said, the things he's gotten up and really stood for, he knew he was going to win those. Mm-hmm. When you go national, whether you're right or wrong, you're wrong. And the press the press will hit on that. I would love, and again, part of it's selfish. I'd love them to finish here.
Yeah.
So he finishes here in 26, and then he's John Q. Citizen. He's a private citizen from 26 to 28.
It takes you. He's going to be campaigning.
Yeah. So he'll just be on the campaign trail.
Well, because a lot of people are speculating that because of what may be coming down, down the road for Trump, that's why DeSantis is out there campaigning nationally for candidates.
I mean, he was just where in Arizona.
Well, he's got there's like 4 cities I think he's going to be visiting in the next couple weeks.
Well, the man has to maintain a national profile at this point.
He doesn't have
Whether
to.
he's running.
Well, if he's running in 28,
If he's running in 28, he needs to start now.
Sure.
He has to start building a national profile now.
Yeah.
So whether he's running in 24 or 28, right? He has to
The
start
question
building a
is,
national profile.
Who, if
See-
not DeSantis,
If not DeSantis, not Trump in
then
24.
who? Right. Then who?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not a question anyone wants to answer or ask. So,
You know, and,
I don't know.
And if something does go south with Trump,
Nikki Haley. There we go.
it's.
I know.
I like Nikki Haley.
no.
Why the look?
Huh?
I thought you liked her.
I
I didn't say I like her politics. I just like her as a person, the way she talks, the way she seems personal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, it's Tulsi Gabbard you like.
Well, I mean, Tulsi Gabbard's a Democrat still, frustratingly.
But
she should
she's
change
got-
parties
she's
already.
got that good Jay Leno streak.
But no.
Oh man, she's got her talking points like solid too.
Nikki Haley.
She's
Nikki Haley's
pretty good.
tough as nails, and I like Nikki Haley, but not for president. You know.
yeah.
I think.
So
I think
who would jump?
She's Secretary of State.
I think Cruz would try to go for it.
Oof. I don't think he wants.
But
to
see,
be
this is
president.
my thing.
I think he
This-
wants to be VP.
This is my thing because this is
I think he wants to be on the Supreme Court.
and I'll kind of liken this to what happened with Marco, with Senator Rubio.
No.
Okay, he said he wasn't going to run for Senate again because he was in the
He was running in the
he was
16th
running,
race.
and I genuinely believed him. I believe that his intent was to run for president, and if that didn't go well, then he was going to go just move on. Okay, but what was happening was that we had like a 3-way primary here in Florida that was going nowhere. Okay, I think it was David Jolly.
Jolly never ran for Senate, did he?
I think so. It was Carlos Lopez Cantera.
Yeah. And I don't understand why that was going nowhere.
Because none of them were polling. None of them were polling well.
Should have, like, he would have made a decent senator.
None of them. No, he would have been fantastic. He's a great guy.
Right.
And he's got one of those cool motorized surfboards. But
Important. The important things on this show you learn.
I follow the man on Instagram. What do you want? So it was a 3-way race. I don't remember exactly who. I know CLC was one of them. He was kind of the front runner. None of them were polling ahead of the Democrat. It was like neck and neck, like way too close.
Mm-hmm.
And the powers that be said, Marco, you got to get back into this race. You got to get into the Senate race because if not, we're going to lose. And that was literally the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that if he didn't run, I can't. Who was on the Democrat side? I can't remember now.
Charlie Crist.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Right.
And it was like, okay, if you don't jump into this thing, we're going to end up with Charlie as a senator. And the money and the powers that be said, Marco, you got to get back into it. And I think genuinely he was not going to do it until they told him to. I think, and so that is my skepticism about 2024. I think DeSantis may want to wait till 2028. That may absolutely be 100% what he in his heart wants to do. But I think if Trump is not in that in this race, I think there's going to be way too much money thrown at DeSantis for him not to run in 24.
Oh, I 100% agree. Because, yeah, no, if I think the only way DeSantis waits to 28 is if Trump doesn't run. But my concern is if Trump runs for 24 and they the media throws everything they got behind Pete Buttigieg as the Democrat nominee or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how
And you're
that
making a good point. I don't think Trump's a lock to win.
I don't think he's a lock to win at the end. And
Now,
that's
will
my
he be
concern.
Biden? I think he'd be Biden.
Oh, he'd be. I think.
But if
I don't think
Democrats-
Democrats think he'd be Biden. I think Democrats think that if Trump's
Oh no,
the nominee, they
Democrats
win.
are very worried about Biden.
No. Yes, they're very worried about Biden. But if Trump's our nominee, they're not worried because they can beat Trump. They can beat Trump over.
I don't
the
think so.
stick
I think
all
they're
day
worried.
long.
I think they're still worried about Trump.
I'm not saying that's true.
I
I'm
don't
saying
think
that's
they-
what they think.
I don't think they'd be going after him like they are if they were not concerned that he could beat them in another presidential election.
Again, I don't think Biden's running at all. I don't think he's told Kamala that, but like, I don't think
anybody's told him that.
He doesn't. He doesn't. Not only that, he doesn't remember who Kamala is.
No, look, I mean, and I'm not trying to sound like, somebody who's got any kind of major connections or anything.
Am I allowed to put a tinfoil hat on?
But I know, look, I know for a fact from very close sources within the government that, I mean, he is literally a walking zombie. They pump him full of drugs about once, maybe twice a day. And literally what we were watching is someone with severe dementia.
Mm-hmm. This is elder abuse.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is government-sponsored
elder abuse. So this
abuse.
is what I get to look forward to if I get elected? Cool.
No, because your wife doesn't have she's not a doctor.
Yeah.
She's
a doctor in education.
She's a doctor, right?
She's a doctor.
She's a doctor.
So she's pumping him full of drugs?
Probably.
It's like an Edith Wilson scenario. Is that where the country is today?
I mean, look at it. I mean, historically,
he doesn't answer the question, but he says, look for yourself.
No, look. You bring up FDR, Ronald Reagan, Joe Biden. I think they were all propped up,
towards the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's crazy is I'd never seen it up until this week. I saw during his second term when they operated Reagan on his head, and he shaved half of his head, only half of his head, after some brain surgery or something they did to his head. But again, it's well known now that he just wasn't all there in that second term.
He was just supporting the punk rock community. He believed in all Americans.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was trying to mimic his buddy, Mr. T.
Goodness,
I love that picture. I love that picture of Mr. T with Nancy Reagan on his lap. That's one of my favorite political pictures ever.
So, but no, I think one of those two will be the Republican nominee. It's Trump or DeSantis will be the Republican nominee in 24. And only if Trump doesn't run. My concern, maybe I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I think if DeSantis is our nominee, we beat everybody.
Okay.
I think it's a question of, is it 1980 or is it 1984? Is it
all right, quick before we go on to the next topic, because we're now into late territory. Mm-hmm. Who's the running mate going to be?
For who?
For Trump. Because it's not going to be Pence.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah, probably Haley.
Really?
Yeah.
They're closer than people think. They're very close.
I don't think so.
She is close with Pence.
She's been off the radar.
Is that a bad thing?
Well, and Trump's such
not necessarily
grandiose figure. No, I don't think. I think she might turn it down. She might turn down the vice presidency.
No, because I think she wants to be president.
Well, and I think she'd see that as a sure win. Like, I think she sees that as her ticket to at least to D.C.
Guys, remember this. She doesn't have to wait 2 terms to run for president.
Yeah.
Only one.
But then you have Vice President Haley versus DeSantis in 28.
Because technically, Trump could.
No,
God.
No. He's done.
I thought it was consecutive.
Nope.
It's not consecutive?
It's not consecutive. It's 8 years. 8 years for life. You get 8 years at some point in your life.
Thanks, Miami-Dade Public Schools.
Yeah.
All right, so
but now if DeSantis,
now I got to think about that, because even though I came up with the question, I can't think of who would be a logical running mate.
I mean, possibly Carrie Lake.
Yeah,
I like
Kristi Noem.
No,
what's his name?
Why not?
From Carolina.
Tim Scott.
Oh, Tim Scott. Tim Scott. I could see Tim Scott with Trump.
But Tim Scott's been saying some weird stuff lately.
I understand that, but I'll tell you what. I think with some seasoning, he's not far from a presidential candidate.
Who's the gubernatorial?
He would be amazing as a running mate, because
I love Tim Scott.
Well, for so many reasons that would be an amazing pick.
Yeah.
But
who's the Republican candidate for governor against Gretchen Whitmer?
I don't know.
Whoever that person is. I'm just saying, because that's a very key Rust Belt state.
It is.
So I could see a brand new no name.
What I hope,
Michigan
I
governor.
hope it is not, is either Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene.
It won't be.
Good Lord, I hope it's not either one of them.
No.
Moving on to the next subject after that.
Yeah,
gonna let you get away with
really
that
wants
one.
to get to the next subject.
No, after that last statement, I did.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, brought to you by our friends at Community Patriots, community-patriots.com. We want to get into our local straw polls here to wrap up tonight's show. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe to the audio version of our show over at the Tech Overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and Samsung podcast platforms. Can you believe Samsung Podcasts is actually our third largest subscriber base are people with Samsungs? So it's Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Samsung phones, people with Samsung phones, and then the third is kind of like all over the place. But shout out to all our Samsung users out there who are listening. So
I'm an iPhone user.
yeah,
I've got me a little Pixel.
yeah,
I've got the Google phone.
you got a jitterbug over there. That's what you got.
You know what? It needs to take pictures and say, I'm not here.
So it's like the brick.
So as is happening all around the country, you have organizations, chambers, political groups, and others that hold straw polls to kind of give candidates an idea of where they stand in the community. And Tampa Bay is no different. We had some of the larger ones recently that, again, give you kind of a nice taste of maybe what is coming with the primary elections. And so we wanted to run through some of those results. The big ones that we're going to be kind of focusing on here is going to be the Plant City Chamber of Commerce straw poll, not strawberry poll.
Either one.
And then
we're gonna have the dessert argument all over again?
They should call it the strawberry poll.
Oh my!
That'd be fun.
They already got the state dessert.
That's right. It's now the official state dessert.
Let's leave.
I can't believe they beat out the key lime pie.
Oh,
that's crazy.
I mean, the political will of the strawberry farmers.
It's what happens when you're in leadership. When your region runs all of the legislature.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then we also have the Tampa Chamber. What other ones did we have?
Brandon Chamber.
Brandon Chamber. So those are kind of like
three.
in Hillsborough County. Those are kind of like the big ones. And I know
they covered the.
I think for next week,
Hobnob covered Pinellas races as well. I think Pinellas
Some.
and Pasco races were included in that.
Hobnob was huge.
Yeah. So which one? The Tampa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tampa
Yeah.
Chamber.
Tampa Chamber.
So I think can we pull this up? And again, well, we're starting to see a lot of endorsements. Do you want to go over some of your endorsements there, buddy? You want to talk about some of the people that have supported your campaign?
I mean, a few. But I really would like to hold off until the general starts.
Okay.
Well, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
We start now. And first of all, endorsements are very much appreciative. But I'm going to say this. I've said it before, and I truly mean it. The biggest endorsement that matters to me is someone's vote. You can't get a better endorsement than that. But I wanted to, like Mike Beltran, last election and again this election, he was the first politician, elected official to endorse me.
That's awesome.
He has done it again,
and he's doing great in his race.
Yeah, the Liberty Caucus, the medical freedom.
We talked about Community Patriots,
right? Community Patriots, medical freedom, the clubs in my district, but they're and I understand it. I'm not the incumbent. But
that being said, again,
happy to do that. But our incumbent, there is a lot of glaring endorsements that were not given.
Right,
and
that just sends just as much of a signal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but the truth is, most people that you knock on their door, They don't look at Facebook. They don't look at, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
It's
well, again, all
about-
this stuff is good for mailers. It's good for digital advertisements, that sort of thing. It's about how you leverage these endorsements and these straw polls, because these things on their own aren't going to really do much for you.
See, that's more important to me. Like I said, the people voting for something, yes, it's a straw poll.
Right.
But it is funny how it's a big deal until someone loses.
Oh, yeah.
Then
and then they're relevant.
And I think, talking about the Tampa Bay Chamber hobnob.
This is shocking.
Well, because this is not, and people who are watching from out of the area might not know, this is not like a super Republican organization.
No, the city is very, very Democrat.
This is the city. This is Tampa Bay
There's
Chamber.
not a single Democrat on the city council.
Right.
There's a few former
this
Republicans.
is the business community because
I'm sorry, they're all
back up.
Sorry,
I got that backwards.
Yeah, I got that backwards.
Yeah.
There's not a single Republican on the city council. They're all Democrats. There's a few former Republicans, but they're all Democrats. And the Tampa Bay Chamber, also typically very liberal in terms of their endorsements and the way they.
I was surprised. I mean, I had a good time there. I met a lot of great people.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
And it.
But was it this year?
Sometimes people think that, this is the business community. Of course, they're going to vote for the Republican.
No.
I want to kind of phrase this in the context of not this. The way this political hobnob has gone from this organization in the past has not always been this friendly to Republicans.
And also, you've got the candidates with big money will buy the tickets for people to come and vote.
I know you didn't even buy me a ticket.
Because I said
he's not a candidate with big money.
I said a candidate with big money. I'm a candidate in the streets.
Let's get into
elites.
let's get into these results.
In the streets, not the elites.
Yeah. So the Senate again, big win here for Senator Marco Rubio again from what's typically not a very Republican-friendly Tampa Bay Chamber hobnob. Again, typically these are not good waters for Republicans, but Senator Rubio winning pretty overwhelmingly there.
Handily.
I mean, huge numbers there. All right, next one. Too far. Bring it down a little bit. There you go. All right, yeah, great. Again, I mean, there's few people that deserve stuff like this. He's certainly one of them.
He's been on the show.
He's been on the show.
We gotta get him back.
Definitely need to do that. And again, getting almost 60% of the vote there. Again, very hard to beat because the community absolutely loves him, and he works hard. He genuinely, I mean, is out there in the community working hard constantly. And so great to see those numbers for Congressman Bilirakis. Okay, next. All right. Now, this is District 13, Pinellas. This is interesting. Because this is kind of an open. This is what open elections would look like.
Yeah, this is
frightening. So Anna Paulina Luna again seems like she may still walk away with the Republican nomination for Congress District 13.
It's tighter than I think a lot of people.
Hazlett's been hitting her hard. Which is not easy to do, because I mean she's a pretty red meat candidate. But Hazlett has also very strategically, I'll just put it lightly, been kind of positioning himself as a Trump Republican.
Yeah.
Even though he did not get the endorsement. Allegedly, he's been critical of the president in the past. But then the biggest surprise is Mackey coming in third. I mean, I would like to see her do better. I think she won't be able to dig herself out of that third spot.
No, and Amanda's a really cool person and everything, and I'm friends with her. But Mackey needs to. She
run
needs
for
to
state legislature.
Well, it's. I mean, it's.
I don't
too
know if
late
that's
in the
beneath
race
her,
now.
but
no, because I mean, she's kind of a DC person.
I know, but that's also the criticism of her.
If she truly wants to prevent Luna from being the nominee, and whoever wins has a good chance of becoming the congressperson for that district. If she truly wants to prevent Luna from being the nominee, then she needs to back out and back Kevin.
Okay. Yes, but I don't think she'll do that.
No, I don't. I don't think she'll do that. But
and on that note, I credit to the Democrats. They literally cleared the field for Eric.
yeah,
I mean, very strategically, about 2-3 months ago, you started to see them drop off and clearing the way for Eric because they realize, A, the new maps are not in their favor.
right.
And the only way for them to win is to coalesce around Eric, to, again, prepare himself to run against whoever the nominee is.
He's sitting at 35%. That's abysmal.
Yeah, I mean,
Whoever
again,
the nominee is,
you combine the Republican numbers and forget it. Like,
Yeah.
Lynn's destroyed.
yeah.
Which
So-
I think might be a preview of how much that district has changed in the redistricting. And look, and we got it directly from someone in the legislature who worked on the redistricting committee that this is what Governor DeSantis wanted. He wanted District 13 to be red.
right.
And they were going to draw that district red no matter what.
It's his home district.
No, of course. Hey,
It's not the district he held because he was
Right.
living in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Being stationed in the Navy, but it's where he grew up.
Right. So, again, it's going to be, I think it's going to be Anna's race to lose here. It's getting awfully, awfully close, but I think she still pulls out the win.
No, you're wrong.
No, what do you mean? You think Hazlett wins?
I think Haslam wins the primary.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I think he pulls it off. I hope. I hope stuff like this. If he can do a mailer to
Again, the
Mackey
only way
supporters-
Hazlett wins is if Mackey drops out.
No, I could see him targeting Mackey supporters and getting and saying, look, your girl's not going to win. Back
He could
me
do that
again,
but she's still stealing. She's stealing votes from him more so than her.
Wait.
The people that are voting for Hazlett and Mackey are people that don't want to vote for Luna.
That's what I'm saying. So those people need to coalesce around one of those two.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if Mackey stays in the race, which she probably will, she's going to cost the win to Hazlett. I think Luna pulls out the win.
What do you mean? Will we're 10 days away. I mean, what are we 10 days
Yeah, that's
away?
true.
I mean,
There's
she's
no
not going
chance.
anywhere.
She's not going anywhere. I wasn't saying that she would. I'm saying that I forgot.
you think
I forgot
Kevin's
we're
gonna
that
win.
close. But I still think Hazlett pulls it off. I think the voters are smarter than the polls.
For a primary, again, it's red meat. All right, next one. She's a red meat candidate, and in a primary, that's what's going to win. This district changed a little bit, made it brought it closer. Made it maybe a little easier a little more competitive, but it's still a blue district. Castor is going to win this handily, and we've got 3 Republicans in there. None of them are really making. James Judge.
He's
obviously
going to win the primary.
He'll win the primary, but I guess unless
He's sitting at 31.
unless he finds a printing press that can make him a lot of dollars, he's not going to be able to beat Castor,
Right.
unfortunately. So next, yeah, that's going to stay a blue district. All right, this one's interesting. We talk about this one a lot. Congressional District 15. Actually, I hadn't realized how much this district had changed. Doesn't really have much of Polk County anymore. Has a lot of more Pasco. Does it go into Hernando even? No,
Does
okay.
not go that high. No, I got
but it's got a lot of Hillsboro and Pasco. Laurel Lee, it's got the connections, got the money.
Yeah.
Now, surprisingly, but again, this is Tampa, which is her home turf. Jackie comes in second. I don't think in the primary that's going to be how it shakes out.
Well,
I think in the primary, Kelly Stargell comes in second.
No.
You don't think so?
I think this race is completely between Laura Lee and Jackie Toledo. I don't think Stargell. She's been in second in money for the last 2 months, but behind Laura Lee once Laura Lee jumped in. But I think this race is between Jackie and Laura Lee, and I think Laura Lee pulls it out. Handedly against Jackie, and then the leading Democrat there. If you add all those Democrats up, you get to like 15%. It's a laugh.
Yeah, no. That Democrat's not going to win that district.
No. So Laura Lee's going to be a congresswoman.
It was a hard enough win for them before. It's not, it's not going to shake out for them now.
No, this is a new district. This is not
technically yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but geographically, it's very similar to the previous 15.
The previous 15 had a lot more polk.
Yeah, you're right.
Like a lot more. Like this goes all the way over eastward to Carrollwood. Like it goes that far east.
Yeah.
You know, so or I'm sorry, west.
So it's a little more competitive, but still, I think it's still a long shot for the Democrats. So
very much a long shot for Democrats.
So yeah,
Shouldn't be running.
Laurel Lee's probably going to take it. But again, it's Jackie. I don't know really what else you can pull out at this point for her to win. But all right, last what else do we got? 18, Vern Buchanan. That's not even
Next.
Yeah, don't need to talk about that one.
Yeah, next. Governor's race.
60.
Not a lot to talk
There we
about
go.
there.
Yeah, that's probably going to be closer to how it shakes out in the general. I mean,
You don't believe my 50?
No,
My 52-48?
No, I'll bet on the over.
Okay.
I'm going 59.
All right. I'll take your money.
Yeah, crazy. It's still crazy to me that.
I mean, I
We
hope.
just said I don't have
It's still
any.
crazy to me that the Democrats are coalescing around Charlie. I mean, that's just so crazy to me. But
All right.
hey, whatever.
I mean,
It's their
Nikki's kind
party.
of crazy.
I know.
When that's the next best choice.
I
of
understand,
course.
but when you see that they're such a party, around feminists, and feminist issues, and it's just
No, pick the geriatric old white guy. It's what they did nationally.
yeah, you're right. All right, next.
Good point.
Yeah, Jimmy Petronas, Hattersley's.
Okay.
Oh my
that's-
goodness, that's
no need
hilarious.
to- yeah.
And isn't Hattersley like from Tampa?
Yeah, he was a state rep in out in Brandon.
State rep out of Brandon. And look at this.
Yeah.
That's man.
The only reason it's that
Bro-
close is because he's a Democrat. That's it. I mean, you could literally put Mickey Mouse in the Democrat seat, and
He'd probably do better.
Mickey Mouse would do better. Yeah. All right, next.
Wow.
Wilton, look at my dude. I love it.
People have been sleeping on this race. I haven't really been paying much attention to it myself. But again, it's Wilton Simpson.
President
I
of the
mean,
Senate.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting is who takes over for him in the Senate.
We're not having that conversation tonight. We're not having that conversation.
All right. So he's going to walk away with that.
Senate is 40 warlords, sir.
I don't know anything about that race.
Look at Blaze's race.
Yeah.
I didn't know it went up that high.
I'm not surprised. Blaze is Blaze.
Yeah.
Man. He's still
Yeah. It's my dude.
He's still government gone wild.
Bruce Bartlett wins handily. What's this?
Janet Cruz and Jay Collins. Wow.
Neck and neck.
What? That's shocking.
Collins could take it.
That is shocking.
It's literally a vote.
That's a turnout. That's a turnout fight there. Yeah. Whoever wins turnout wins that race.
I don't. When all is said and done, I don't see Cruz having a shot.
Really?
I really don't.
Wow.
First of all,
That's really
you
good
are
news.
presenting finally in this district. Nothing against past candidates, but you have a well-financed machine that's finally running against Cruz.
That's true. That's
Not a.
Yeah,
not
his
even
ground
grass-
game has been crazy. I've seen his people out.
Guys, I've been out with them.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
His ground game is
That's
really
impressive because, again, for those of you who are not local, and I know you're probably bored out of your minds because of how hyper local this episode has been, but Janet Cruz, former
State
House rep, current state senator
She
in
took
that
out a
seat, so she's an
Republican state
incumbent, right? Took out
Dana Young.
Dana Young.
Yeah.
And
She is the mother of the top fundraising Democrat in the state of Florida, Anna Cruz, who is, or maybe not still with Mayor Castor. There's so many reasons why that shouldn't be close, and it is close, and that's amazing.
Well, not only that, but Jay, he's got a national recognition too. He was, Green Beret, one leg, walked from coast to coast. Does a lot of volunteer stuff with Greg Sinise.
No, look, and kudos to him for also reading the tea leaves that I'm sure were kind of forced in front of him. But
he is endorsed by DeSantis.
Jumping right. Well, he jumped from 2 other races to this race, and kudos to Sean Harrison, great guy. Sean saw the writing on the wall as well and decided to step aside for Jay to take this race.
That's the I wish we did that more. I always said, I'm running. No one jumped.
Well,
in
if we
the
had a
race,
functional REC,
Right.
then you'd see
Right.
more of that. All right, next. Daryl Rousson.
Yeah, he's going to win it.
Yeah, I don't even know who that Republican is.
Yeah.
She ran last race also.
But for Daryl Rousson, it should not be that close.
It's a new district.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Nick DeSegli, our buddy Nick.
Yeah.
I have a great interview from him from, I think, about 2 years ago on our YouTube channel if you want to check that out. Nick, phenomenal guy. Super excited for him. That's Brandis' old district?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff
that's
Brandis'
awesome.
old
That's a
district.
great great succession plan right there.
You should try and get him back on the show, too.
I will. Let's see. Jim Boyd and John Hooman, who that guy is one of those like perpetual like ballot, guys. He's like he puts his name in every.
There's no Democrat on that race.
No.
That race will be over on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Boyd's got that. All right.
Well, it's
next.
an open primary, but
Oh.
remember
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
And Hooper's solid.
Yeah. Hooper's a sure thing. Okay.
Are we at the end?
Let's see.
Danny Burgess is solid.
Danny Burgess. That's yeah.
Jeff Holcomb, that's my dude as well.
Yeah. Holcomb looking good. I mean.
52. I mean, that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a Republican in there, but that's that'll be his. Yeah,
So he'll walk in. Comes
he'll walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll walk in the general.
Yeah.
Randy Maggard, that's
Pasco,
fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Pasco, Papadopoulos,
What's he running for?
Gabriel Papadopoulos.
Oh, he's running for that's whose seat is that? That's
55.
Zika's old seat.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised Zika didn't run again. He wasn't termed out.
My buddy Ash Mason was his LA.
He got
Yeah.
smart.
Might have to reach out.
Yeah,
to
no,
him, so.
he just said I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm at home. I'm gonna focus on family.
right.
Good for him. Next, Brad Year. Oh,
Uh-oh.
all right. Well, I mean, I don't think we missed any races that we.
Except mine, but that doesn't matter.
Oh, all right. Let's see.
Wait, the Bernie Jacques race. Go back up.
Oh yeah, how's that race?
Oh, no, that's an interesting one.
Friend Bernie there. All right,
Yeah, Bernie's winning it.
not looking bad. That's
Jennifer
going to be
Wilson.
Jennifer, that's a three-way. That's like three-way tight, though.
Yeah, but
but the Democrat is
two Republicans.
Oh, okay,
below
so-
it. Right.
yeah.
So I think Jennifer Wilson could pull that off if she hits him hard this weekend.
He's working his butt off. I mean, he really is. He's working his butt off. But you're right. That's way too close for someone who's run as many times as he has. That should not be that close.
Agreed.
Oh, who's this? Scott Levinson. Levinson.
Oh,
Levinson.
I don't know much about him. I hear he's
Venison.
I don't hear much. I hear he's good looking. Though.
54%. That is fantastic. Congrats, Scott.
That is beautiful, right
That
there.
is a beautiful, beautiful thing for
Especially against an incumbent, so, a sitting county commissioner, which, I mean, hey, again, that's a steep hill to climb. And, and again, this shows what we've said all along about your campaign, that, I mean, again, with a few other pieces, if you hadn't been missing a few of those pieces in your last campaign, you would have won.
Yeah, 1.4% hurts.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I bet.
does.
so close.
But, right now, though, I think especially this time, the differences between me and my opponent are just glaring.
Yep.
I mean, he is all about more taxes,
Well, he now has a record that can be challenged.
Mandates, taxes, more mandates,
Right.
more taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do we need to say anything else?
Right. He's just going to toe the party line. All right. And then what was above that? Oh. There we go. Oh.
I think Hagen.
I lost our pace. Oh, Beltran.
Beltran.
Okay,
Beltran.
keep going.
Up or down?
Yeah, there you go. Ken Hagen. Yeah. Michael Owen.
Again,
That's huge.
Well, no. What you're missing here again, though, is
No
and
Democrat.
yes, he will win. This is an open primary.
Right, but there's no Democrat. Right, there's no Democrat.
No, that's why there's no. Now there are those that say Noel is. That's been the big push this
Got it.
whole race.
Yeah.
Oh, she is. And again, I don't think he's in any danger. But be careful what you wish for. If you say she is so many times, remember this is an open primary. So everyone votes.
Yeah. Still though, he's just been killing it out
he
there.
is yes. By next Tuesday, he will be your next your commissioner.
And I like that he's, no offense to present company, but I like that he's on the younger end of the spectrum. A lot of fresh blood, fresh energy.
Wow.
He's fresh. He's fresh. He's just not young.
Fresh in the cool way.
This is yeah.
Well, because again, it's one of those things that the local party should be working on, but they don't recruit.
No.
They don't.
They
seek
just
out.
think I'm
It's,
young. How's that?
There we go. I like it. Young at heart.
They just think I'm young.
Let's go, scroll. All right. Michael Owen's gonna get it. All right. Anything else?
Ooh.
Let's see that. Oh,
Super local.
who is that?
Donna is.
Cepeda.
She had no primary opponent.
Yeah.
And she is running county. What is it?
Interesting.
District 5.
That's really shocking.
Yeah.
That could
she's
be
been
like
working. Let me tell you,
that could be a really crazy upset right there.
she has been working.
Nobody's
hard.
watching that race.
Yeah, they are a little bit. They are now.
Well, but it's a district race. It's not countywide.
Right. She's working very hard at it, though. And
Wow.
you got to give her credit. If you haven't met her, I recommend it. She is a doctor. She is just a fascinating woman.
Okay.
I mean, if you get a chance to talk to her,
Yeah.
I recommend it highly.
if
We're going to line that up.
If you and Donna win, then we'd have Republican control of the
we
county.
would.
Really?
Well, in the next
That's-
race also. The next race also, if one of
Yeah.
those two gentlemen won. Now, that's going to be an interesting
All right.
primary.
That's countywide, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I will abstain from voicing my preference in District 7. But
I won't.
no, you don't have to. I mean, it's just I think one could beat the Democrat, and I think the other one cannot.
I concur. I think Chase Harrison will completely win that race if he can win the primary.
Yeah.
And sadly, that looks unlikely with this data in front of us.
All right.
I'm
Is that
going to
it?
stay. I'm going to stay neutral on this. I like.
Yeah, I know
seriously,
you like both of
I
them.
like both gentlemen. I really do, and I know whichever one wins. I'm going
5,
to
6,
support.
and 7 are all countywide.
The only commissioner not running this
Levinson.
time is Kemp.
Right.
She does not run this time.
Oh, good for lucky for
And
her.
Gwen Myers has 0 opponent on either side.
All right. Is that it?
You have 5 more pages.
5 more pages. All right. Just scroll down a little bit and just is there?
Well, you get into soil, water, you get into commission,
Soil and water
Dave
commissioner.
Eggers.
And
Yeah.
we went through the congressional stuff.
I think we got all the
judges.
All right. I think we got all the ones we needed to talk about.
super down ballot here.
Yeah, circuit judges and stuff like
Circuit
that. That's
judges.
all right. All right. On that note, thank you everybody for watching the Yard Sign. Again, we appreciate our guests for stepping in and stepping up for our buddy Aníbal David Cabrera, who couldn't be here tonight. Thank you to Scott Levinson, VoteLevinson.com. That's VoteLevinson.com. Also, Mr. Chris Licata.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for
again.
coming on short notice.
Yeah, it's fun to be back.
Great, yeah, always good to have you back. Again, we appreciate you. Hope you subscribe to the audio version of the podcast, and please, whether it's on social media or our podcast version, like, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever you got to do. Leave us a review and help us get this show further along, grow it bigger and wider. As again, we are out here trying to support great candidates in their efforts to get elected to various levels of government. government, and we can only do that with your help. On behalf of Scott, Chris, and yours truly, Johnny Torres, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, next Monday. Oh, no. Well, we won't be here next Monday, but we'll explain that all online. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.